everybody. My name is Sadia Royal, and I am a former school counselor in Pasco County, and this is where I was introduced to hospice and Camp Reach Out. And as a school counselor, my skills were limited. I did what I could with the kids, but the grief counselors came in, and what I saw them do with the children was just beyond what I imagined as a school counselor. To be able to work with the community directly and have these amazing people come in and working with the children was like everything to me, and it was everything to them. And then when they introduced Camp Reach Out, I was like, wait, what? There's a grief camp for kids? It was the most incredible thing that I had ever even heard of. A place where children can go to talk about their feelings in a safe place, to be surrounded by other kids who are going through the exact same thing, and have that feeling of camaraderie, like knowing that they're not alone through this, because the grief for children is very different than grief for us. And I'm sure that you guys can see the resilience in children. It's a little bit more difficult for adults because we know that loss is deep and we know that it's forever. But kids grieve differently. And I know that personally because 4 years ago I lost my husband. And him and I had volunteered at camp, because one of the counselors was like, you should come do it. And I'm like, camp? Let's go. And so we went, and that camp was incredible, number one. I was a cabin leader with the teenage girls, and my husband was with the 10, 11-year-olds, and they gave him a run for his money. But I was good. But one of the things that stuck with me was they do this ceremony night where they go by the water and they pick a rock, and this is the rock that I picked in 2009. And I carry this with me every single day since that day. I was just showing Laura that this is the shirt. This is the lasting impact that this camp has had on me. I've had this shirt since 2009, and all the girls signed it on the back. So this is something that, when I tell you that it has impacted me as a professional at that time, but later as a grieving mom. So as I was saying, I lost my husband 4.5 years ago, very tragically. We were driving up north, and he had a heart attack in the car. And I thank God that God made him realize that something was wrong, and he asked me to drive because he was the one who was driving the car. So it could have been so much worse, but God protected all of us. And as tragic as it was, I know that my husband was surrounded by the people he loved the most. But with that came my 4 grieving children. At the time, they were 10, 7, and 16 months. So my youngest son has pretty much no memories other than pictures of him. And that first year that my husband died, I was a mess. Like a mess. I couldn't think straight, couldn't remember things. And by the end of the year, I had a little bit of clarity and remembered, oh gosh, hospice, they have grief camps. So I called. Camp Reach Out had been closed because of COVID. But they were able to help me get my kids into Camp Breakheart. And that was over in Lakeland, and I was over here in Port Richey. And so it was a little bit of ways traveling, and at that time, as a parent and suffering that loss, I was really scared to leave my children in the hands of strangers. Even though I knew the organization and I knew what they did, it was scary for me as a mom. And so one of my best friends said, you know what, we'll go get a hotel nearby so you're not far from them, and they're gonna be okay. And I cried through it, and she said, let's go, let's get them there. And they were okay, and they had a great time. And I got to process some feelings for the first time being without them. And it was just an incredible feeling knowing that my kids were in a place where they could talk about what they went through. And the next year, we sent them off to Camp Reach Out. And that was the most incredible experience for me because it circled back around. That was where I volunteered at. And so, sorry, I get emotional. My kids were able to come out of the shell a little bit more because they didn't know what to expect the first time. But they were able to come out of the shell and share their feelings a little bit more in depth. And be able to be surrounded, because that was one of the things that they said, that there was other kids that lost their father. As a matter of fact, they said there's lots of kids that had lost their father, so they didn't feel so alone. And that was like transformational for me, for my kids to be able to recognize that. And the idea that this organization has created a platform and a space for children to do this, to grieve, to get in touch with their feelings, to learn coping skills, is one of the most incredible things I have ever witnessed, honest to God. and I will support this organization until the day I exit this earth because it holds a very special place in my heart. It has come full circle for me, and I look forward to my children attending camp again, coming in March. And for parents out there, it is a little scary to leave your children, but you know what? The people here at hospice, they are angels walking on this earth. They are going to protect your children. They are going to do the things that they need to do to help them heal and get over the humps that they need to get over to kind of cope with the loss, because we all cope differently and kids cope differently. So it's important that we continue this service for the community, because most people don't know about this unless you know. And I was able to pass this information along to some family who suffered a loss very similar to mine, my cousin actually, and that was the first thing I thought was, let me find the hospice organization, the Bereavement Center up in New York, so that they can have that information. And so I was able to do that for them, and I wouldn't have known to do that if I didn't know about this organization here. So I want to thank you guys all for coming here today, and if you're donating, I can promise you that this is probably one of the most worthy causes out here today, and I look forward to continue working with them in any capacity that I can work with them. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really